I tell you, the world has gone crazy. You know, tell me this, yeah? Okay. I want to see the Cleverly and Bellew rematch. I want to see it. It would be a good fight. It'd be a very good fight. But here's the nitty gritty facts. Both of them were conclusively stopped last year. Cleverly lost his WBO title in conclusive fashion to Sergey Kovalev. As a world champion, this is just my opinion, Nathan did what he had to do, but he was not an elite world champion by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah? The opponents he was facing before Kovalev, European level at best. At best. Okay? Bellew, now, you know, decent pro, hard puncher, conclusively stopped by Adonis Stevenson. Conclusively. You know, he had already lost to Nathan Cleverly. Neither of these guys have had a significant win in the cruiserweight division. Neither one. While this is a good domestic matchup, very good domestic matchup, I'm looking forward to it. How the hell has Eddie Hearn decided he's going to sell this as pay-per-view? How did you see this as fit for pay-per-view? Exclusive live on Sky Sports box office. Cleverly versus Bellew. Really? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure how that works. Froch and Groves, that worked. That worked. Unbeaten challenger. Hard-punching challenger. Controversially beat James DeGale. And we all know Froch's resume. It's a lot more impressive than Nathan's. So that worked. That worked. That works. That works. That works. The undercard is good. Is good. We've got DeGale on the bill. Anthony Joshua. Scott Quigg versus Joseph Abeko. That's a nice fight in my opinion. That's a nice fight. Callum Smith. Anthony Joshua's actually taken on Michael Sprott. That's going to be interesting, man. That's interesting. That's interesting. Sprott, you know what I mean? Like, you know, look at his record. It doesn't look impressive. But as a craftsman in the ring, he has very efficient technique and he knows what he's doing. This is an interest. That's an interesting fight. I know he's way past the pinnacle, so to speak, but nevertheless, I like that matchup. It's not a bad card. It's not actually a bad card. It's not actually a bad card. You know, they've got all their stars on there, but it just seems like a regular broadcast card to me, to a degree. Or maybe I'm being too hard. There's two world title fights, well, if you can call the Scott Quigg fight a title fight, interim title fight. But it is what it is. But it is what it is. But this is why the NBC deal that Al Haymon has struck has piqued the radar. Regular television used to house bills like what Eddie Hearn is housing here all the time. You know? This has gone, it's not even a regular Sky broadcast bill. It's pay-per-view, you know, and like, you know, the streets ain't paved with gold in the UK, contrary to the belief. It just isn't. There's a lot of poverty going around. While Eddie may have a loyal following who will line his pockets up nicely, there's a lot of kids who will not get to see this fight. Even if it was just a regular broadcast on Sky, they wouldn't get to see it because they'd need the Sky subscription. I was discussing in my video when the woman claimed she didn't know Floyd Mayweather Jr., I was discussing Floyd's popularity in comparison to the boxers I grew up and watched. The Haglers, the Hearns, the Leonards, the Tysons. They had a profile that these subscription and pay-per-view demographics just couldn't match. Yeah, you're getting paid because you're charging a lot of money individually to purchase your broadcast. So you're making money. But at the same time, if you was to try and merchandise goods behind these pay-per-view and subscription-based formats, yes, you'd sell merchandising, t-shirts, caps, gloves, I don't know, whatever memorabilia, paraphernalia a spectator and fan wants to purchase. Yeah, you will sell. But when you have the whole of the country, you know, when you're doing 10 million, 17 million at one broadcast and stuff like that. Your merchandising strategies just would be way more successful long term, you know. The visibility of your fighters will increase tenfold. Now they're in that exclusive bracket, that I can't walk down the street bracket no more because I'm going to get mobbed because everyone's seen you. And everybody's talking about it. All the kids in the playground are talking about it now. As opposed to Johnny and Jermaine, who maybe they watched it with their dad on pay-per-view or just a regular broadcast. In all truth, the pay-per-view and subscription format is killing boxing. It's killing boxing. It's absolutely killing, murdering boxing. You know, you ask how many British fighters were inspired to box because they used to watch Prince Nassim, Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, and Michael Watson on ITV, Frank Bruno, Lloyd Hannigan on BBC. Let's go back even further. Flyweight, Charlie Magri was really popular back in the day. Really popular fighter. We all knew Charlie Magri, even when I wasn't into boxing. I knew Charlie Magri, the flyweight champion. We used to hear about him. Duke McKenzie. They was in our living rooms, man. You know, they was just as significant as professional footballers. Just as significant. I'm not saying they was as visible because the footballers, you know, they get a format on TV every week, on terrestrial TV every week. So it's a different ball game, but they were just as significant in the sporting makeup of the country. Just as significant. People are, I wonder when Charlie Magri's fighting next. I wonder when Bruno's fighting next. Can't wait to see Nigel Benn. Michael Watson, he grew up on BBC. I saw him from early days in his career. Prince Nassim. I mean, Amir Khan, I saw him from his debut to, at least, I can't remember how many fights in before ITV, before the situation he had with ITV evaporated and they just seemed to be walking away from boxing for whatever reason. Ali, look at Ali. Just that's the biggest example, Ali. I mean, even today, Ali is the 9th most popular celebrity, artist, or whatever you want to call him. He's the only man or sporting man or athlete in the top 10 list of the most ever famous people. He's the only athlete in there. Marilyn Monroe, Abraham Lincoln, Mother Teresa, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, Bill Gates, Muhammad Ali, and Gandhi. Ali is in there at 9. And in the 70s, he'd probably be number 1. Probably number 1 in the 70s. Him and Elvis would probably be battling it out. I haven't looked thoroughly, but Floyd isn't nowhere near. I don't think he's on the list. And look how much money he's made. He's the highest paid sportsman. He's not on the list. Pele is ahead of Floyd. Lionel Messi is ahead of Floyd. So they're doing current day people. He's not on the list. So don't even ask if Bernard Hopkins and them guys are on there. You know what I mean? No, they're not. No, they're not. Michael Jordan is ahead of Floyd. Jesse Owens is ahead of Floyd. Pele and Jesse Owens 50-51. Michael Jordan 58. Lionel Messi 78. David Beckham 88. Tiger Woods 89. Usain Bolt 90. Carl Lewis 92. Nope. No Floyd Mayweather Jr. Nope. No. I mean, to be honest, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, them guys ain't on it. But they didn't earn as much as Floyd either. And obviously, their prime was some way back, you know. And who's to say back in the day they wasn't on the list. But obviously, the list is an ongoing process where the positions and numbers change with regularity year to year. Ali retired about 32, 33 years ago. At least as long as that, right? Floyd is still fighting. And he's got social media and everything. Made much more money than Ali. Ali, 32 years later, or 33 years later, is still at number 9. Floyd isn't on the list. So, in 32 years' time, tell me this. When Floyd retires and he's not as visible as he once was while he was fighting, he'll be even further from the list than he is now. And he's not on the list. I mean, he's not going to get more popular after he retires. Your popularity peaks while you're performing at your prime. I remember watching the 84 Olympics and the American team, that had a pivotal effect in how much I love boxing today. a pivotal effect. And I remember when they all turned pro. I remember watching Holyfield beat up Mark Rivera, Henry Tillman, all his fights. Pernell Whitaker's debut, Tyrell Biggs' debut, and then he came back and he beat up Smoking Mike Perkins and he looked brilliant. All of them guys, Meldrick Taylor, they showed all of that shit there, man. Terrestrial television. Hagler, Duran, Hearns, Leonard versus this one and that one, you know? Oh, man. Terrestrial television, man. Even if they were delayed recordings, because some of them fights just exclusively went to cinema and stuff like that. So you might get a delayed recording. But more than often, you saw them fights. Terrestrial TV is what built up the Haglers in this country. The Hearns, the Leonards. My friends back in the day, they wasn't into boxing as much as I was. But I know one of my friends, he caught on to a Don Curry fight. And he was just so impressed. And he just come up to me, when's Curry fighting next? When's Curry fighting next? All the time, when's Curry fighting next? Wants to see Curry. We see him beat up this guy, beat up that guy, beat up that guy. Even now, my friend's not a big boxing fan. He could break down Don Curry's boxing style better than I can. Trust me. That don't happen now. My friends don't ask me shit about boxing now. They don't ask me nothing. So, right now, you know, I support Al Haymon in his stance with fighters. I do. And I have my reasons for that. And a quick breakdown of that is, you know, this period of boxing with Al Haymon and all the fighters he has, it was on an inevitable path, inevitable course of action that eventually, after years and years, with fighters, you can't think of no athletes in no other sport who have got jerked worse than boxers. There's none. There's none. There's none. There is none. So, Haymon may not be the ideal man in many people's eyes, but he's definitely a great stopgap for the boxers. Yeah? And, boxing is a free-for-all in terms of its business model. The Muhammad Ali Act, it lists out all the bad things about boxing and the bad practices that boxing uses. But there's nothing in there that the boxer can use as legislation if he's been unfairly treated in any manner at all. It's just all lip service. And then numerically list down all the flaws in boxing. But what can the boxer actually use from the Muhammad Ali Act? You tell me when a boxer has used the Muhammad Ali Act to correct something that's went wrong for him. It's just lip service. So Leonard Bundu, by all accounts on Twitter, he said he signed to Al Haymon. He's a 39-year-old welterweight who's held that European title for a while now, defended it in the UK, and that could have all went wrong with home cooking. It nearly did against Lee Purdy, but he stopped him in the last round, you know? The Frankie Gavin fight. Frank Warren, he said he wants a rematch because Bundu beat Gavin, but Warren apparently hasn't paid the guy for his first fight. So yeah, he's gone to Al Haymon because he's a 39-year-old man taking punches for a living. He hasn't got time to worry about if Al Haymon is keeping the integrity of the sport. He wants to know that his next moves are concrete and that his money is going to his bank account and to where it should be allocated. That's all he cares about. And any of you guys looking down on Leonard Bundu for his decision, you're full of shit. He wants to try and get the Floyd fight, the Thurman fight, or whatever can be made now. He's looking towards that kind of opportunity in his career right now. He doesn't want to be at the beck and call of hometown cooking with no one in his corner at 39. He's a grown man. We have to assume that, you know, he's got a few years left at this level, at best. So yes, you guys are unfortunate to be in an era where boxers are not just going to sign away contracts and just get the worst end of any deal that's being negotiated. They're just not going to do that no more. For the most part, that's not what they're going to do. That's not what they're going to do. So until we strike the balance between competitive fights and the boxers' welfare, this is where we are. I mean, your only solution is to come up with a better solution than Al Haymon for the boxers. And screaming that he's bad for the sport, that's fair enough, but that's not going to change the landscape. That's not going to change the landscape. But right now, the man has a whole load of power. He has a whole load of power. And this potentially, this makes him a big threat to even HBO, because HBO may do a lot of other programming that makes it so big, but it's got nowhere near the scope of terrestrial TV. None. If Eddie Hearn today with social media was to sign a deal with ITV today, that shit would be absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. You know, I mean, Mick Hennessy, no disrespect to Mick, yeah, but Mick tries, but Mick has this second-hand car dealership sort of quality to his promoting ethos. I don't want to diss the man, but he does. And he's with Channel 5, a terrestrial television station, but it just hasn't jumped off at all. It hasn't jumped off. I mean, the first fight, Chisora and Fury, was a barnstormer. I mean, how could you start so well and then just trail off like that? Fury's not on there no more. The girl's not on there no more. Eubank Jr.'s not on there no more. They've all defected to Sky or Box Nation, all of them. They're all gone. Eubanks is transitioning. He had a little deal with Box Nation for a few fights. I don't know where he's going next. After the fight with Billy Joe Saunders, who knows where he's going to go or what he's going to do. The girl is on Sky. Tyson Fury is on Box Nation. Kid Galahad is holding the flag up at Super Bantamweight for Mick Hennessy on Channel 5. And, you know, the guy's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. But from a marketing point of view, he's just not ready to carry British boxing on his shoulders on terrestrial TV. He just isn't. So the Channel 5 situation looked like a really good idea at the start. And especially after that Fury Chisora fight. But it's just trailed off. And it was a wasted opportunity, in my opinion. So, let's see what Big Al does next, man. Because I'm realizing now the subscription and pay-per-view format is what has turned boxing into a niche sport. That's what it is. That's all it is. So, you know, it's okay individuals making 30 million a fight, like Oscar and Floyd. It's all good. It's all good for the business, man. But long-term for the sport, it's not popping, bro. That ain't popping. Ain't popping one bit. Not one bit. With social media, the advertising you could gain on terrestrial TV, is ridiculous. The potential on terrestrial TV to make money and provide boxing a good service, which little kids from impoverished backgrounds can also facilitate, is vast. It's a vast landscape of opportunity. I want to see somebody follow Al's footsteps in more territories around the world. That's what I want to see. I think the UK would be a great place for someone to start next. ITV or BBC. It's not going to work on Channel 5. Channel 5 is a good channel, but it's probably the least popular terrestrial channel on British television out of the 5. ITV is the spot for terrestrial TV. 9 o'clock in the evening, 10 o'clock, ITV. That schedule there, prime time, bang! We go back to Eubanks and Ben days. Yeah? BBC, that's all good too. Midweek, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Saturday, we go back to Frank Bruno days. Good shit. Sports night, midweek sports special, grandstand, World of Sport, Dickie Davis, Harry Carpenter, Reg Guttridge, Jim Rosenthal, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to get too carried away because Al has got it all to prove, and let's see what the man does.